This is Mike Lingle from Rocket Pro Forma, and today we're going to talk about the best financial projection slide for your startup pitch deck. And it's important when you're in the pitch and people ask to see your financial plan, it's important that you have a slide and a plan ready to go. So this is the best format. So first of all, what do good financial projections look like? They look like this. Now, a lot of people, when they look at this, have a reaction that they just start hyperventilating. They get nervous, they get scared. Don't worry, I'm going to talk you through it. It's going to be fine. So what scares people? Math scares people. Lots of little boxes scares people. Money is always in motion, so that's why you're seeing lots of those little boxes. There are different types of costs, which confuses people, and there is cash versus accrual accounting. I have a whole separate video on that, but that also scares people and confuses them. And that's part of what makes the pitch deck slide look complicated, but it's really not. So we're going to start at the beginning and build it up. So first of all, you have revenue. That comes at the top. Then you have expenses, and you subtract the expenses from the revenue, and that gives you a profit or loss on your income statement. So we're going to take 1 month of that slide that I showed you, and here's where the revenue is. It's right at the top here. Here's where the expenses are, and you'll see there's two types of expenses. There's cost of goods sold and operating expenses. So that's part of what confuses people, but it's not that complicated. And then your profit or loss in this case is called EBITDA, a confusing term, but just remember that that means profit or loss. And if you keep this in mind, your startup pitch deck will have a fantastic pitch deck financial slide in it, and investors will be impressed. So one thing I do to simplify is I do everything in thousands. So to make it easier to understand, I get rid of all the decimals and I do all the dollars in thousands. So when it says revenue 48,000, that actually, revenue 48, that actually means 48,000. When it says cost of goods sold 22, that means 22,000. Again, no decimals, no thousands, keeps it really simple. And eventually, when your company is successful, you can use millions instead of thousands. So then your revenue would be 48 million. Wouldn't that be cool? So again, this is the best financial projections template that I've been able to come across. So the income statement doesn't give enough info. So what I use at the core of this pitch deck financial slide is an income statement. And this piece that I've showed you is the income statement, but I add some more information. So first of all, I add some KPIs, which are key performance indicators. Those may be the number of sales, the number of subscribers. It could be the number of active users. It could be number of app downloads or app registrations. And then if you're doing subscriptions, it'll be some version of annual recurring revenue, ARR, or monthly recurring revenue, MRR. And again, if you put this stuff into your investor deck, investors are going to love it. Then I add some information on headcount, and I use the term FTE, which is full-time equivalents. Companies used to hire people. Now they have contractors, and it's a little more confusing, but full-time equivalents is a good measure. It covers both your full-time employees and your equivalent full-time contractors. And a big metric for me and other investors is revenue per full-time equivalent. And that tells you how you stack up to other companies. So the best run companies like Microsoft and Apple do between 1 million and 2 million of revenue per FTE per year. So if I see plans that have millions of dollars of revenue per FTE, I get a little nervous about that. You can also look at expenses per FTE. I didn't break that out here, but that's another metric that could be interesting. And so the income statement, first of all, doesn't have enough information. So that's why we added the KPIs and the full-time equivalents. And the income statement also lies about cash. So what do I mean about that? So the income statement lies about cash because there's accounts receivable. So sometimes business-to-business customers make you wait 1, 2, 3 months to pay you after you invoice them. Accounts payable is the opposite. You make people wait to pay them. For subscriptions, there's something called deferred revenue where annual subscribers pay you up front. Capital expenses don't appear on the income statement. Security deposits, if you're renting an office, those don't appear on the income statement. And loan payments don't appear on the income statement. And I can go on and on and on. But it's confusing, and the reason is accountants. Yes. But the rest of us aren't accountants. We just want to run our business and explain our finances to investors. So what I put at the bottom here is a little piece of the cash flow statement because startups live or die on cash. The income statement doesn't give a true picture of cash. It lies about cash. So startups live or die on cash. So I've added this piece here that says we need the money. So it shows how much we're planning to raise during the period, which is important for investors to know. And it shows the amount of cash remaining, which it's fine if it's a negative number that convinces the investors that you need the money. Or put in, we're going to raise $400,000 to cover this $394,000 loss. Either way works fine, but that explains to investors what you're doing. Okay, so now that we've broken down the template, let's build it back up and hopefully it'll be a lot less scary. And again, this is the best pitch deck financial slide that I've been able to find for startup pitch decks. So here's month one. Now we have two KPIs at the top, paid subscriber and annual recurring revenue at end of period. Then we have the income statement, revenue, cost of sales, gross profit, gross margin, operating expenses, EBITDA margin. Then we have the head count and the average revenue per FTE. And then we have the cash at the end of the period. Simple, right? Month one. Then we add month two and month three. So that's where the little boxes come in here. But then to keep it simple, we switch to a quarterly view, which is 3 months at a time. So Q2, Q3, Q4, same numbers. Then we do annual summaries. So year one is a summary of month one, month two, month three, Q2, Q3, Q4, and then year two, and then year three. So that at a glance gives a ton of information about your financial plan and is really all you need for that initial pitch to investors. So this is great for your investor deck. It's a terrific financial projections template. Use it for your pitch deck financial slide. And the template that I just showed you is available at rocketproforma.com/resources. So you can just download the template and use it. So check it out. Also check out my other videos and subscribe to my channel. And watch my video on cash versus accrual accounting if you want a deeper dive on understanding that piece. So thanks so much. Good luck.